This is an automatic mechanical watch, and this is your standard Apple Watch. Now, this watch costs roughly $300. This watch can cost anywhere from, I believe, 180 to 300 plus, 400, 500, depending on a bunch of variables. And what I want to do in this video is kind of walk through my thought process on why I believe a watch like this is objectively better and why I believe it's more beautiful, and yeah, just my opinions on mechanical watches. So, reason I bought a mechanical automatic watch, for those of you that don't know, this watch does not have any batteries in it. It has no computer, no operating system, nothing. If you open it up, it's just a bunch of gears, springs, arms, plates, metal, bunch of stuff like that. And the way it works is absolutely fascinating. There are other videos on YouTube that go more in depth with all the mechanisms, but it's a beautiful mechanism inside. And this one specifically is wound up by just moving your wrist. So within here, on the back side, there is a little half circle piece of metal. And as this watch moves and rotates through space throughout the day, that piece of metal spins and winds up gears in here that wind up a spring that give it continuous power, basically indefinitely, as long as the gears and the watch is well maintained. And this watch, on the other hand, an Apple Watch, has a whole computer in it, obviously, and I believe it's an LED screen, touch screen, operating system, batteries, all sorts of things. It also has some like readers on the back for your pulse, and I believe even like blood oxygen. I'm not entirely sure. It's got a lot of features with it. I wouldn't per se say that this watch is beautiful. It has, just a basic LED screen that can be replaced with whatever watch face you want. In this case right now, it's a basic Snoopy with hour arm and minute arm and seconds arm. But there's no character to it. There's very little character, there's very little beauty. It's very replaceable. If one of these breaks or the operating system falls apart, you go to the Apple store, they probably tell you to buy a new one. And it's not really timeless, right? Like holding on to this for years is not going to make it, age well over time, right? Whereas a watch like this, if you take care of it, it's the sort of watch that you can, not per se this particular model. This is a decent watch, but, it might still last me 10, 15, 20 years if I take care of it. And of course, it can be repaired. And the case that I want to make, beyond just the natural beauty of a watch like this, not that everything has to be related to health, but this watch is emitting a massive amount of EMF directly onto your wrist, whereas this watch literally has zero EMF. Quartz watches that have batteries have some EMF. It's very, very little compared to something like this, but this genuinely has absolutely zero. And I feel like I make a similar case with my notebook. So I have a notebook that I do all of my notes in, and I just have a pen inside there. Of course I can write notes on an iPad or even on a computer, like I'm filming this, but this provides a fully analog, fully, cloud-free, battery-free, like there's no risk other than, of course, physically losing or burning or getting this book wet. That is a risk, but there's no risk of a cloud database center going down. There's no risk of a file accidentally getting deleted. It's all right here, right? And the case that I want to make, beyond just the beauty and beyond just the EMF and the elegance of physical technology that you can feel and see, is the question of consumption, right? So an Apple Watch is not exactly the biggest interface, even physically biggest interface. It's like an inch by an inch and a half of receiving information and consuming media. But you can consume a lot through here. You can get notifications from your emails, from your messages, all the notifications of how many steps you're getting, news even, whatever you want, right? Whereas this can only tell you the time, the day of the month, and the day of the week, right? And we're already bombarded with information from every angle. If you go to the grocery store, there's ads playing above. If you turn the TV on, there's ads every 10 minutes. If you have YouTube and you don't have premium on YouTube, you have ads with every single video. You take the bus, you take the train, you're at the radio, there's ads, there's information, media, being pumped into our eyes and our brains and our ears 24/7, right? And the watch is a form of technology that it really doesn't need anything more than that, right? Like its original function was to tell time and keep track of time, or maybe a stopwatch, and that was it. We already receive all the information we need from a laptop and our phones. Why do we need more? Why is the answer always more? There's things like the Neuralink being developed. It's more. It's always more. It's always more. And like, where does that end, right? It's an infinite game with no end. At one point in the past, the newspaper was the pinnacle of information sharing, and there were books with that as well. And then we had the radio, or somewhere around there the radio had already existed. And it just keeps going up and up and up and up, and it never ends. Another quick example. I recently deleted Spotify, or deleted my premium subscription. I basically don't use it anymore, in exchange for an MP3 player. So with this, I can just download MP3 files from YouTube or from Spotify, wherever it might be, books, podcasts, music, DJ sets, whatever. And I have full intentionality behind what exists on this. There's about 200 songs, there's a few podcasts, a few books, and I have full control over what is on here. Nothing is on here that I didn't intentionally choose. Similarly, with the watch, nothing is on here that I didn't intentionally choose, or the world chose for me in the sense of time. The time is universal. On this book, there is nothing within here that I did not intentionally choose to put in, right? And I think about the app, the Instagram app, and I partially use Instagram for work. I've gained clients through Instagram. I make connections through Instagram. I grow my audience is going to, potentially lead to more business opportunity and community opportunity in the future. And one thing I would love with the Instagram app, but I understand why they would never do this, is the ability to shut off the suggested feed. Like, how beautiful would it be if you open Instagram and your only options are the messaging section, your profile, right? So your own page with your own content. And then thirdly, a page where you only see content produced by people that you follow, right? Because most people follow, myself included, we follow people with a certain level of intention. And I think that's beautiful, right? You follow people who you look up to, or you agree with, or even who you disagree with, but you want to hear their side of opinions and ideas, whether it be on health, politics, religion, etc. And we want to listen to them. But as you and I watching this video know, Instagram takes that way beyond what our desire would be for the app. We desire to just consume what we chose to consume when we followed someone. But Instagram comes in and shares an infinitely growing array of information, right? If you're on Instagram for a minute, within a minute, very likely multiple hours of content has been posted within a minute. Maybe even multiple days if you really added it up across all of Instagram, right? So with all of this said, right, I'm talking about the watch, I'm talking about the MP3 player, I'm talking about the Instagram app, I'm talking about physical notebooks. I really think a return to a more analog style of life is going to be the direction of the future. It's going to be a status symbol to know how to use a notebook effectively. Have beautiful, not just technology, but art on your wrist that is timeless. Having physical, as physical as this can get, physical information downloaded onto an MP3 player. And maybe even, I hope, some kind of social media platform in the future that allows full intentionality rather than us being the product within these platforms, where our views and our attention and our time on the app is the product for these large companies like Meta, a platform in which the people are not the product, but the information that individuals across the world choose to share is the product. And then what that entails in terms of monetary gain or even just community growth and community gain is to be determined. But I really think that's going to be the future, and in a future as well where it's not just quality over quantity, but also quality over quality. I'm blanking on what the current word is, because it's quantity, but it's also replaceability. The feeling of being able to replace a watch, or replace, music that we no longer like on Spotify, or replace content that we don't no longer like. If we're bored of whatever we're watching on Instagram, all it takes is a quick swipe of the finger for a new one. Or even things like dating apps, where you're tired of someone, all it takes is a quick swipe of a new person on a new app to find someone new. And that's just not a luxury, or if you can call it that, a luxury that we've had as humans for very long. Before, I've never personally bought a record, but when you bought a record, you were proud to own that record. When you bought a watch, you were proud to own that watch. When you bought a notebook, you were proud to own it, and you used it for its utility as a notebook for as long as you had blank pages left. And we've just entered into this very disposable, that's probably the word I was looking for, disposable era. Even wallets. I think, this is a wallet that I made. I'm by no means a great wallet maker, but, simple enough. Took me a couple hours to make, and it's like, every time I hold this, every time I use this, it feels really good. It feels like, okay, there's some errors in the corners, but like those were my mistakes, my errors that I now hold and own every single day. And, in 2-3 years time, when this thing falls apart, I can make a new one, and I can make it better, and I can teach other people how to make it. So I think this is going to percolate through all aspects of society: cooking, equipment, food, housing, education, social media, clothing, jewelry, wearables, books, notebooks, technology even, I hope. And there's already a lot of companies doing that, I think. Companies in the health space, like Healthy Soul Soap. There's Daylight Co., the computer company with the no blue light, flicker-free computer. There's plenty of more artisanal products being made and promoted through social media, which is, a beautiful side of social media. People making cutting boards or wallets or clothing, jewelry, etc., being able to share that with the world in a way that hasn't been done before. So that's my little rant. I think I'm calling it a return to analog. And yeah, I'm just speaking my mind. It's fun. I'll probably post this tonight.